Hi guys, and welcome back again to another video. I want to talk about this plant, pothos, and how to propagate it. Um, it is, what can I say about this plant? It's very versatile. It's very beginner friendly. If you are not that great with houseplants, this one might be the one to try keeping at home. It's also known as the devil's ivy. I don't know where they came up with that name. I have no idea. It comes in different colors of green. This is what's considered a variegated one with the green and yellowish splotches on it. They also come in solid green as well, and other variegated ones that have white, more of a white splotches instead of the yellow. And they come in different leaf sizes. This is probably like the average size. I've seen some of these where the leaves are only like maybe 1.5 inches big. And also in Mexico, I've seen these things growing wild where the leaves were like massive. Very easy to grow. They grow, you'll see them a lot as office plants because they grow well in indirect light. They grow well in sunlight. They only need watering like once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on the conditions in your house. And they're very easy to propagate. They do well in soil, or you can cut off one of these trailing ends and stick in some water, and it's quite happy to grow in a vase of water as long as you keep the water at a good level. So they're very easy plants to deal with. The reason I wanted to show you or talk to you about propagating these plants, because a lot of people do. You'll see a lot of people, like even in the office, we won't mention any names, but they'll take a clipping of from a pothos plant in the office and stick it in water. It will start to root up, and then they'll take it home, and away you go. It starts off like kind of bushy like this, and then as it gets to a certain maturity, it'll start to send out tendrils, like vine sections like this. And at the bottom of if you look along the bottom of the vine sections, these little nubs, if they come in contact with soil long enough, they will start to root right from those little nubs. This particular plant right here came from a cutting that I took of a much older, what they call mother plant, upstairs. I've had for like 10 years, so it's in a long trough-like pot, and every time the vines start to get a little bit long, I would clip it. So this is one of my replantings. Now, something to know about the pothos, which I just found out probably I would say like 4 months ago. The way that you see most people propagate it is probably not the right way. So as an example, let me grab something over here. These are clippings, recent clippings I've taken, which are tangled up now. Okay, let's use this one. Let's make some space. This is typically like a clipping that you would take, and you usually see people, and same thing, I used to do the same thing. Just take this and stick it into a cup of water, a jar of water, wait a few weeks, maybe even longer, and it'll start to root up. And then you'll take this and stick it into the soil. Well, what I found out, that is the absolute wrong way to do it. When the plant is sending out tendrils like this, it's only when it's mature enough to start doing that and start looking for more area or more ground to root up itself. If you take this and just wait till it gets roots and stick it into a plant, it's not really mature enough. They almost start off like in a colony. So what you should be doing is every place you see these little nubs, hold on, let me try to zoom in a bit. Every place you see these little nubs, you should be cutting off these sections like this. Trying to do this with one hand. So you would cut there and cut there. zoom back out. So now this little piece, you grab a cup here, good old solo cup, can't go wrong, and you would stick this in a cup or a vase of water and let it start to root up. So every section that you see on this cutting, on this vine section here, zooming in again, every little section that has a little nub underneath, because that's where the root's going to come from, that's what you want to cut and take as a cutting. Cut that again, take that, put it in the cup, and you keep doing that until you have several cuttings. Just one more example. Come on. You can do it with one hand. You can do it. Okay, so there. Grab the scissors or the knife. Make a cut there and a cut there. Sure, there. Awesome. So, you do that with your whole cuttings. So all these in-between pieces you don't need. Those can go in the compost or the green bin or whatever. But you do that for all your cuttings, put it in water, and let that root up. Within a week, you should start to see roots on the bottom of these cuttings, like you coming right from the little nub section. Within 2 weeks, you should have enough of a root system to start potting up into a pot with soil. You're not trying to get a trailing vine right away. You're trying to establish the plant first, and once it gets to a certain maturity, like this, then it will start to send out vines like this, which is a good sign. It means the plant is doing well. As an example of what not to do, let me move these out of the way, is this plant. Same cuttings, but the only difference, and as you can see, it has long vines on it already, but it's trying to make a plant or establish itself with just these long vines, which isn't a good thing. And you see how sparsely it is. So what I did is what I usually would do in the past, is just take a vine cutting, stick it in water, wait till it got roots, and then put it in here. And this is how straggly the plant is. The plant may bounce back and get to this point, which looks a whole lot healthier, but it takes so much longer to do that. I even did an experiment where I cut it the right way, like one of these cuttings, but instead of putting it in water first, I just put it right in the soil. And that's the result of it. The leaf is yellow, it's not doing anything. I'm pretty sure this will eventually just die if I tug on it. Well, it seems like it's still rooted in there, but I'm pretty sure this will just die off, and that's the end of that. So you have to give the cuttings time to plant up, to root up in water once you cut them, and have it in here. I would say no longer than 3 weeks of sitting in the water. I don't change the water when I'm doing this. I just check to see that there's still water in there, and I keep on adding as needed. I've heard of some people that are like, changing the water and washing it out. I guess it might just depend on the container. If you have it in a nice vase, you might have to do that, but just using these solo cups just for rooting up, you don't need to change the water. Just make sure that the cuttings and the nub at the bottom is sitting in the water, and you should be fine and have a decent enough root system to start planting up within 3 weeks. I say don't leave it longer than that. You will see, like I said, pothos is very, very adaptable. If you just keep on giving it water and the right light conditions, it will survive in the water. The problem is, if you ever want to plant that into the soil, you're going to have problems, because once it's been sitting in water for a certain amount of time, it's kind of used to being in water, and then when you go to plant it up, it's almost like it goes into shock and it doesn't do that well. So if you plan on planting it into a nice pot with soil, no more than 3 weeks. Within 3 weeks, you should have some kind of half-decent root system on there. In a pot this size, I would say you probably could get away with like 8 or 10 of these clippings in there. And then after that, you just take care of it like you normally would, and you should be good to go. I fertilize. Honestly, they would do better if I fertilized on a more regular schedule. I honestly don't remember to fertilize until springtime, because in springtime my mind is thinking about the garden and I've already started, like, you know, some seedlings and stuff like that. And then I remember, oh shoot, I have plants that I really should be fertilizing. They are fine without the fertilizer. They probably would do better. I've actually heard about these things flowering. I didn't even know that they flower, but it makes sense. So if you're on a good enough fertilizing schedule, they will flower up. If anyone has any pictures of that, post it in the comments, because I would love to see it. But I would first, in the spring when I do start fertilizing, I fertilize about once every 2 weeks. I water the plants about once a week, and if you have good potting soil that retains the moisture and everything like that, you should be fine. It should retain the moisture, and once a week, depending on the humidity of your house and how dry the air is, you might be able to get away with once every 2 weeks, but once a week is usually pretty good for these. And that's it. So I'm going to finish up cutting up these cuttings that I have. I'm going to put them in here and root them up, and when they're ready to be planted, I will do another video showing you what that looks like. All right? Awesome.